Well, I think there's wins that you look back on and I think help define a program. This is one of them. And I don't want to make light. We have a great deal of respect for Boise and Coach Harsin. I want to say thanks to our fans and students. I remember 2 years ago I had BV take a iPhone picture, and pretty bleak. I had somebody take a picture at the end there, and it's neat to see our student body and people in the state rally around. A lot of great plays out there today and a great effort. We knew coming in it was going to be a close ball game. There was going to be a play or two here or there. Quite frankly, I was a little bit concerned when we didn't get in on 4th and 1. They went down all the way and scored a touchdown on a 99-yard drive. But I think what it does show is a resolve and a belief with our players and each other and what the coaches are telling them to do. A lot of hard work went into this one, and it was number 6. So at this time, I'll open it up to questions.
What changed defense? You're down by 14, I think, 2 different times in this game. So you mentioned resolve and belief, certainly, but anything schematically, what really kind of changed to where it got you back in?
I think we did a couple things that are different. Obviously, our next opponent will see some things on tape. But the other thing, too, was we started to get a couple stops in the running game. It created some long yardages, and we were able to get some pressure. The one pick before half by Rico was a huge play, and that was a change up there. And then coming out in the second half, I thought our defensive coach did some good adjusting, and it was kind of it flipped. In the first half, it was like no one wanted to play defense, and in the second half, both teams were coming up with stops, and we were getting slowed down. Some of our power rushing game was getting shut down, and but I thought. We've made some plays. Obviously, the 2-point play was huge, and the play before that was huge as well. And we've been working on the hands team. I can tell you what, we spent a great deal of time working on that, and that proved to be a wise decision. We came up with the recovery.
Coach, huge night from Jacob Hollister. Was there just kind of a great matchup there for him, or what was he able to do tonight? Just all night with Jacob.
We felt like he's been underutilized. That sounds. We don't think we've utilized him as well as what we could have, and tonight we did. And sometimes you go through and you're looking at, I was a defensive coordinator, you look at breakdowns where the ball is going, and he hadn't been used very much, and he certainly was a weapon today. And I thought Josh did a nice job getting the ball to him.
Chase Appleby, the play at CSU, and then obviously forcing the fumble tonight. He's maybe the smallest interior defensive lineman, but he keeps making plays and continues to show how important he is to this.
His heart is as big as the state of Wyoming. And he'll probably say he's from Texas, but I'm going to switch that around a little bit for him. He adds a great deal, and for him to be out there all game certainly had a big impact on our defensive front.
Coach, especially in that second half, it just seemed like Brian Hill, he'd get hit behind the line, but he'd still power forward for a couple of yards for a first down. On third downs, Josh Allen would come through with a big pass. We just talked about your team's will to win in this game.
Well, that's the resolve of belief. And, we had put up some signs when we first got here through the locker room and in the IPF. Basically, those who stay will be champions. And some of the guys are no longer here, and those guys that have been brought in, it's encouraging, and that's beginning to spread. And the never say die attitude. And Brian's, we've got some ultra competitive guys, and that's what you're seeing tonight.
Coach, you saw the scene out there. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something, then I want you to take it from there. College football has returned to Laramie tonight.
Well, I'd like to think it has. That was one of our goals to return Cowboy football back to national prominence. I don't know if we're nationally prominent, but we beat a good football team that was ranked pretty high, and it was great to see that scene. I was with Tim Harkins, and he turned and he said, "Look, Coach, look," because I was coming off the field. And it's hard. It's touching to see what has happened, and it's been a collective effort. I want to say thanks to Tom Berman and for providing us the resources to get our program where it's at, and then our coaches and players to be all bought in. And I know it's going to give you guys something to write and talk about.
Coach,
Is
we
this-
talk about Josh's arm a lot, but the touchdown and then the 2-point conversion, when you see those throws that he makes on the run like that, and across his body and back over the middle, what do you think whenever you see
Well, first thing, I cringe. You know, I think, you know, my favorite pro football team a long time ago was the Minnesota Vikings, and Brett Favre did one of those and didn't work out so well. But Josh, a lot of the plays are extended, and a lot of them, you know, he's creating them with his legs and his arms, and he's an ultra competitive guy. I don't want to say pushes an envelope, but he has a great deal of confidence in his skill set, and you want that in a quarterback. And tonight, you know, he came up big with those plays.
Craig, how did you think of how Jolly did at his first game at tackle? I know you'll look at film. It's
Well, we'll look at film, but I can tell you this, there was a big cheer for Brink down there. I mean, it went through the whole room after the game. Everybody was excited about Brink, and he had big shoes to fill. And, you know, they're a really good defensive front, and I thought he did a great job tonight.
Coach, you're no stranger to big wins over the course of your career. I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but how does this rank up there?
Well, it's way near the top. And a lot of it has to do with just where we were at when we first got here. We weren't going to take shortcuts. I know that maybe some people on the outside wondered what the heck's going on. But you know, it's rewarding.
Congratulations, Jake. I'll just start with you. I mean, 10 catches, 112 yards, and 2 touchdowns coming into this game. Blew that out of the water. Just did you see something they thought utilized you more, or something work out? Kind of explain kind of what happened there.
First, I just want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, for the opportunity. But man, I mean, it was just my day to make plays, and when I had the chance, I did. I mean, Josh made great reads, O-line protected, and the rest was history. But it was a great feeling just being able to produce for my team and do well in that category. But man, I just can't stop smiling.
Josh,
I'm just overwhelmed.
did you see something into the week that something like Jake, even I know Harshman caught a couple too, that the tight end was going to be maybe more utilized today?
Well, yeah, that's what happens when you play a lot of zone on defense, and you know they just kind of gave us the opportunities. And you know Jake's one of the hardest working guys on this team as a captain. And no one deserves this more than him. He's a playmaker, and he busts his butt every day. Couldn't be happier for him. I love this guy right here. I love all my teammates, and you know it was our day today.
Josh, on that last score, it almost seemed like mirror image of that Nebraska touchdown. You know, pointing to Tanner. Just can you take me through that play?
Yeah, we actually called a little underneath route. Supposed to be throwing to Jake over here, but pocket collapsed a little bit, got out on the edge, and he was running towards the right side of the end zone with 2 guys on him. I pointed at him, and me and Tanner have some good chemistry, so he peeled back and let him go make a play. And, it was a fantastic feeling, especially being on their sideline after I'm throwing the ball, and then coming back with the 2-point conversion and hitting Jake Maher with it's a huge grab right there that ties the game and forces a lot of stuff on Boise State.
For both of you guys, won the Border War this year. You had the late win against NIU. Now you're beating Boise State. I mean, what kind of high are you guys riding this season?
It just feels so good getting it for the guys who have been here for so long through the struggle, and the coaches who have just believed in us and told us if we stay, we're going to be champions. And those guys who are here right now are the guys who believed in that. And we had a lot of guys leave who didn't believe in that, who believe in the system. But the guys who have stayed here are the hardest working guys you'll ever meet. And through the off season, everything, we've all just had trust in each other. And man, I'm so proud of all my guys, man. I love all my teammates, and I'm on the biggest high you can imagine after that.
To piggyback off that, I've said this is a special team since spring ball, and Coach Bohl kind of mentioned it earlier in our meeting with him. He said, we're not very heavily recruited guys. Our coaches weren't wanted by many programs. And Coach Bohl's a proven winner. He's got a system, and these coaches know how to win. And it took a couple years for it to finally come, but people are starting to see it, and it's a great thing.